Hey YouTube, Wes here checking in finally with my Vinyl Tag 2020. Sorry it's taken me so long to get to this. I just had those other videos I wanted to get up first without spoiling those with some answers that are going to be in this video, but I think you're going to enjoy this anyway. Vinyl Tag 2020, here we go. Let's go ahead and jump right in. Question number one is best find of 2019, and I chose my best find that wasn't a thrift store find, and obviously it's not going to be a new vinyl kind of thing, and that was Talking Heads' Fear of Music. Let me pull this out of the sleeve here. Yeah, I found this at the Gainesville Record Show in, I want to say September or October, when Brad came up. Yeah, I've been looking for this album for a long time and finally found it for a good price. So that was my favorite find of 2019. That wasn't, you know, a thrift store find. I did find some pretty amazing things in thrift stores over the year that were pretty awesome, but didn't want to rehash what I already did in a previous video on this question. So yeah, that was my best find of 2019. So question number two, what is your favorite album of 2019? And of course, I did a video on this previously as well. If you haven't seen my favorite albums of 2019 video, definitely check that out. There's some other great albums in there that I hope you'll check out and see if you like yourself as well. But my favorite album of 2019 was Sturgill Simpson's Sound and Fury. Yeah, as I said in my other video, this album just completely blew me away first time I listened to it, and it's continued to stick around and be just an awesome album. So, favorite album of 2019, Sturgill Simpson's Sound and Fury. Question number three, show a novelty record. And this is one I hadn't shown in a while, and I've tried to pull most of these from the collection, the actual collection back there. So you'll see a bunch of, it got hit pretty hard back there to put this show together. So I got a lot of refiling to do, but this is something I haven't, as I said, I haven't shown in a while. So there is a novelty record, The Simpsons Sing the Blues. The first, I believe this is the first album released by The Simpsons. They've done follow-ups, but yeah, really good album. Some great producers on here, and yeah, it's some good fun songs. And if you love The Simpsons, you're gonna enjoy this. So yeah, that's a cool piece, and haven't shown it in a while. So that's a novelty record I love. All right, so question number four was a tough one for me. That's the Show an Homage cover, and what immediately jumped to my mind were these two covers, which we have Nirvana's Nevermind and Paul Kantner and Grace Slick's Sunfighter. So you can kind of see the resemblance here, and this is actually an older album, but this is not an homage to this as far as anything I can tell. They just happen to look similar, and so yeah, to me that's kind of what jumped into my mind, but I was wrong. This is not technically an homage cover, but I think it kind of fits the question anyway. So I did choose an actual homage cover, even though I don't know if you can say it's an homage since it's a cover album, but of course we have the Beatles' Abbey Road, so that's the original, and then we have Booker T and the MGs with Macklemore Avenue. So yeah, it's definitely an homage cover, and it's a cover album in general. So it's up in the air. I mean, I guess most homage covers probably are cover albums, but and then you also have George Benson's The Other Side of Abbey Road, which is also a cover album, and he does his own sort of take on the Abbey Road cover, and I thought that was cool. So it's kind of a threefer there for the homage cover. Okay, question number five is show a B-side or deep cut. Yeah, nothing really jumped into my mind immediately, but I thought of this one. This is the Thompson Twins' Into the Gap album, most known for Dr. Doctor and Hold Me Now, but my favorite song on here is actually the title track, The Gap. So yeah, it's sort of more of a deep cut, and great album throughout, but my favorite track happens to be one of the deep cuts on here. So I wanted to show this one again. question number 6. Show something funky. And I do not have a whole lot of funk in my collection. It's not really something I gravitate towards typically. I enjoy funk, but it's just not something I seek out. But this one's definitely funky and a cool album, and that is the Beastie Boys instrumental album, The In Sound from Way Out, that they did in 96 was the release on this. Yeah, cool, just funky instrumental album that they did, and yeah, I love this, and yeah, definitely funky. So that's what I'm showing for a funky album. All right, question number 7, weird shelf buddies. And since I do A to Z back here, they're pretty much all weird shelf buddies. I kept seeing things and kept seeing things. I finally came up with this three-fer of a weird shelf buddy that I think is pretty funny. So first we got here is the most recent Earth album I've purchased. I think they did put one out last year, but this is their album 2016, I think, Primitive and Deadly. So we got doom metal. And then we got Sheena Easton, self-titled. And then we have Eazy-E, Real Motherfucking G's, 12-inch single there. Yeah, so I think that's a pretty weird shelf buddy right there. Weird set of shelf buddies anyway. Yeah, like I said, there's a lot of weirdness going on back here just because it's A to Z, and I collect a lot of different kinds of music, so it's a lot of fun. Just the way I like things. All right, question number 8. I was there, so I'll show some albums from artists you've seen live, and I've seen a lot of artists live over the years, even though I don't go to a lot of concerts. Something I did more when I was younger. But pulled out a few here that I've seen live. First one is Billy Joel. Seen Billy Joel live. That was back in the 90s. Pulled out Piano Man. That one's for you, Chris Brzezinski. Around that very same time, I think it was the same year, also saw Sting in concert. That was a fun concert. Glad to go to that one, so I pulled this one out, Dream of the Blue Turtles. And then the last one to show, I saw these two people in concert together. It was my first major concert. And yeah, I saw, this is corny as hell, but I saw Vanilla Ice and MC Hammer in concert together here in my hometown. And that was a pretty big deal for them both to come at once, right at sort of the height, right when these two albums were really hitting it big. Yeah, that was a hell of a concert, a hell of a first concert experience, and yeah, that was a fun one. So I just had to share that. MC Hammer and Vanilla Ice in concert, and Oaktown 357 were there, and there were a couple other groups that I don't remember exactly who they were, some lesser known groups. But yeah, for my 12 or 13-year-old self, this was pretty awesome. Okay, and on to question number 9, a repress that you wish you had an OG of. This was a question I struggled with because I'm not really the type of person that really strives to get OGs of things. Typically, if I have a repress of something, it's because I think it's of equal or better quality than an OG would be, or an OG that I could actually afford would be. Yeah, it's some of the rarer albums. Maybe you can find an OG that's in sort of rough shape, VG shape maybe, and maybe you can afford it, but a repress is going to sound better because it doesn't have all that wear on it. So if I buy a repress of something, it's because I think the repress is good quality and it's going to be better than anything else I could find or afford. But I did choose this one. This is Love's DiCapo, and the main reason I chose this being a reissue, is that I have Forever Changes and Self-Titled. Those are OGs that I have in my collection. I just never found an original or vintage copy of DiCapo in the wild that was something I could afford, so I have this Sundays to repress to sort of fill in that hole just so I could have it. eventually, maybe one day, I will find it and I'll get this. I'll probably keep the repress as well, but yeah, it just doesn't sort of fit in there with the older ones. But Loves to Capo. Wish I had an OG of that one. Question number 10: an artist that you have the discography of, the complete collection, and there's only one that I know for certain I have the complete collection of back here that have more than 3 or 4 albums. An artist that's put out a good number of albums, and that is the Alan Parsons Project.
It was invented by the noted Cambridge physicist Dr. Parsons. Therefore, we shall call it the Alan Parsons Project. Oh my God.
So I'll just go ahead and show the discography here of the Alan Parsons Project here.
The Alan Parsons Project.
Tales of Mystery and Imagination, Edgar Allan Poe. It's the first album from the Alan Parsons Project. And then we go on to I, Robot. And then we have Pyramid. And then next comes Eve. And then we have Turn of a Friendly Card. Great one here. Eye in the Sky. It's probably my second favorite Alan Parsons album. Love that one. There's Ammonia Avenue. Vulture Culture. This is an original pressing of Stereotomy in the PVC red and green sleeve. So they have, the sleeve is red and green PVC, and depending on which way you put the album in, a different image will show up on the cover. Pretty cool. These are pretty rare to find, the original pressings like this, which you'll see more commonly is this right here, which kind of just melds the two colors in there. And then that was Stereotomy. Yeah, I don't know if I mentioned that or not, but finally the final Alan Parsons Project album is Gaudi. This is the only one I had to buy online. This is more difficult to find, from 1987. Wasn't a real popular album for them, and yeah, I think there wasn't sort of an instrumental album after this, but yeah, as far as studio albums, this was the last one, Gaudi. So that's the Alan Parsons Project, my discography there. All right, now moving on to question number 11. This one's pretty cool. I think you're gonna like this one. I haven't shown this one in a long time. I think it's probably gonna be a surprise to some of you that I even have this in my collection. This sort of fits in with one of the later questions as far as an album you bought cheap that's now worth a good bit of money, and that is the Mars Volta with their album Nocturnicate. So the center labels on these, if you haven't seen this album before, first of all, it's pressed on 2 different colors of vinyl. It has the inner sleeves are in 3D, and there's 3D glasses inside the sleeve there, which is really cool. As I said, colored vinyl, and the center labels, they're square. Square center labels. So there is the one LP, the orange one. And then you also get a blue marbled one here. Yeah. And that's actually the only Mars Volta I have on vinyl in my collection, but at this point a pretty valuable one and a pretty cool one, and I'm glad I do have this in my collection. So Mars Volta Nocturnicate, definitely got some weird center labels. All right, number 12 is Pre-Band. This is one I did struggle with a little bit, but finally went ahead and decided to pull this one out, and that is the band Blue Angel, which features none other than Cyndi Lauper on vocals. There she is in the middle there. So this was the band she was in before she went solo. So yeah, that's Blue Angel featuring Cyndi Lauper. Okay, and question number 13, a musical, book, or movie that you would suggest, and I'm going to suggest one of each. I do read a lot. I'm always reading something. I'm usually reading 4 or 5 books at once. I like to sort of jump around. But I finished a book last year called The Big Payback, which was it's sort of titled as the business of hip hop. On its cover, it sort of gives you the impression that it's a book for like business majors or business school people or business people. But it really sort of tells the history of hip hop from a business perspective. So you learn a lot about the history of hip hop and how the money sort of changed things. And it's a really great book if you're just interested in hip hop as a musical form. An amazing book, a really thick book, a very long read, but I learned a lot from it, and I definitely highly recommend it. I'll probably have a picture of it up there somewhere while I'm talking about that. So yeah, The Big Payback, great book as far as music related things. And then the movie I want to share with you, if you sort of missed this, I want to recommend it, and that is the documentary series Soundbreaking. Just an excellent documentary series about music. It's got some great people in it, and it's just a great series, and can't recommend this enough. If for some reason you haven't seen this already, definitely seek it out and watch it, because it's a really good one. All right, so moving on to question number 14, an underrated album. And I don't know, I think most albums are underrated. I think some albums are overrated. I think all albums should be on equal footing. How about that? But the Rascals' Peaceful World, an incredibly funky jazz. This one could be a funky album as well. A funky jazz album from the Rascals. Really good stuff on here. Definitely not real well known, but the people that do know this love this. And yeah, definitely if you see this one out in the wild, grab it. It is good. Really good. All right, next up, we're going to talk about the batting average question number 15. And I had to go with my artist of the year, my album of the year last year. This is his previous album, A Sailor's Guide to Earth from Sturgill Simpson. Yeah, just Sturgill Simpson. Everything he's been doing lately has just been really interesting. He's changing his sound. He's exploring different sounds. He's exploring musically and really doing some great stuff. So Sturgill Simpson is an artist that I will buy without hearing a single song. And there are a lot of artists that I will buy just without hearing a song, because I know I'm probably going to like it. There's a very good chance I'm going to like it, as I like most everything anyway as it is. If you watch my shows, you'll see that, there's not too much I don't like, but yeah, Sturgill Simpson is definitely somebody. If he came out with another album this week, I would buy it, no problem, without even hearing a song. Okay, so that brings us to question number 16. Same album, different cover, and I never even realized this album had 2 covers until 7 or 8 years ago when somebody sent me the second version of this. Just some reason it never clicked with me, even though I'd seen it in the wild. And that is Run DMC's Raising Hell. So there are the 2 different covers for Raising Hell. Of course, it's just the colors are different, but and the back cover is the same thing, different colors. But yeah, same album, different cover. Okay, question number 17. As I alluded to before, an album you bought cheap that's now worth money. I could show some of my thrift store finds from the past. Those are always, I spend, under $1, and sometimes I find albums that are worth over $100. So that's obviously something. This album, before October of last year, this album was selling for over $300. This is Ariana Grande's My Everything, original pressing of it. But in October of last year, this was repressed. So now this is only worth about $100, but I only spent around $20 for it. So, but yeah, at one point I could have turned 20 into 300. But I want the album. I don't care. I don't really care what they're worth. I'll only care what they're worth when I'm ready to get rid of them. But I don't need to get rid of them right now. So that one is a pretty cool one. Here's another one. I walked into the record store one day and saw this on the wall with a $75 price tag, and it shocked the hell out of me because I picked it up on Amazon on clearance. This is Salem, sort of a lesser known. They do sort of a psychedelic hip hop, sort of chopped and screwed, kind of slowed down psychedelic hip hop type stuff. It's kind of difficult to explain, but really cool sounding if you're into hip hop. And yeah, this one's pretty valuable as well. And as I said, I picked that up on Amazon on clearance for like $9 or something. So, and I'm sure there's more back here that I'm gonna find as I'm slowly going through and adding things to Discogs and realizing what's valuable and what's not. I was looking like the Beatles mono stuff, the monos that they just redid in 2015. They're freaking like the White Album mono is like, it's a $100 album now. It's ridiculous. That was just reissued a couple years ago, but it's out of print. So, and it's Beatles. But yeah, some of this stuff just goes out of print and the prices go up on it. It gets kind of crazy how that works. But as I said, I don't really care what they're worth until I'm not ready to sell them right now, so I don't really care what they're worth. Okay, question number 18. Favorite drummer. This one is one I struggled with because I don't really pay much attention to drummers. They're kind of just there. I know it's bad to think of it that way, but I've never really like, oh man, that drumming is great. You know, I've never focused in on the drumming. It's just, I don't know. It's just how it is. But this is a drummer that is more than just a drummer. He's done production. He's played other instruments. Is a singer as well. And that is Phil Collins. So, yeah, probably my favorite album of his. Hello, I Must Be Going. So that's what I got for favorite drummer anyway. Question number 19, an album turning 20, and I don't have very much from the year 2000 back here. It's stuff from 99, stuff from 2001. For some reason from the year 2000, I don't really have much of anything, but I did have this one. Linkin Park Hybrid Theory turns 20 this year. Hard to believe, but yeah. Great band, great debut album from them, released in the year 2000. Linkin Park's Hybrid Theory, turning 20. All right, and lastly, a trilogy of albums, and this was another one that I couldn't really come up with. I do have David Bowie's Berlin trilogy, but that's probably the best known trilogy of all times. I'm sure plenty of people have shown that one already. Didn't want to show that one, so I decided to, as I was researching trilogy albums, this is not technically a trilogy because they didn't follow each other, but they are named 1, 2, and 3. So I'm going to call this a trilogy, and other people have called this a trilogy as well. And that's Jay-Z's The Blueprint series. This is Blueprint Volume 1. And then Blueprint Volume 2, which this is the only CD I'm showing in this vinyl tag because I don't have this one on vinyl. So I got to show the CD on this one. And then the Blueprint 3 I have on vinyl, so I probably should get Blueprint 2 on vinyl. But yeah, the Blueprint series from Jay-Z, it's kind of him giving the blueprint for what he's going to do next, where he's going to go. So, you know, on the original Blueprint, he's talking about how he's going to take over the rap game. You know, on the second Blueprint, he's talking about, you know, it's the gift and the curse. So he's talking about his success and how it's both a gift and a curse, but he's plotting a path forward, moving into business, becoming a businessman. So he's giving the blueprint to becoming a big time businessman. And then on the Blueprint 3, this is where he's sort of giving his blueprint for world domination kind of thing. So be everything and everywhere. So yeah, that's my answer for a trilogy album. The best I could come up with. So yeah, that's my Vinyl Tag 2020. Hope you enjoyed the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for tuning in. Leave me some comments or questions down below if you have any. Thank you for watching. Please subscribe if you aren't already. That'll keep you up to date with future videos I put out. Have a great day, great night, and we'll see you again real soon. Have a great 2020. Cheers.